Hey everyone, and welcome to an in-depth summary of the Song of Achilles through the lens of the philosophy of psychology. Madeline Miller's The Song of Achilles offers a profound narrative that integrates themes of love, identity, perception, and embodiment, resonating deeply with the philosophical principles explored in the philosophy of psychology. By weaving metaphors of relationships as enclosures, love as a journey, and the lived experience of the body and soul, the novel becomes a mediation on the intertwining of self and other, the embodiment of existence, and the psychological underpinnings of human connection. Relationships as enclosures, the intertwining of self and the other. In the Song of Achilles, the relationship between Achilles and Patroclus exemplifies the concept of relationships as enclosures, the dynamic that balances intimacy and individuality. As the philosophy of psychology notes, the skin is a kind of seam, a trace of the line that separates self from other. Achilles and Patroclus' relationship mirrors this concept, as their love creates a shared space of vulnerability and connection while maintaining their distinct identities. Patroclus encapsulates this intimacy when he reflects, "I could recognize him by touch alone, by smell. I would know him blind, by the way his breaths came and his feet struck the earth. I would know him in death, and at the end of the world." Their bond is both a barrier against external pressures such as Thetis' disdain and the expectations of the Greek army, and an opening through which they are finding meaning and identity. The act of touch, emphasized in the novel through gestures of affection and protection, embodies their relational being. As Patroclus tends to Achilles' wounds or embraces him, touch becomes a metaphor for acknowledging separatedness while fostering closeness. As if he had heard me, he reached for my hand. I did not need to look. His fingers were etched into my memory, slender and petal-veined, strong and quick and never wrong. This reflects the principle that to love is to touch, not to merge, but to connect while remaining distinct. Love is a journey, travelers, goals, and destinations. The metaphor of love as a journey permeates the novel, reflecting the characters as shared and divergent paths, their destinations, and the difficulties they encounter. On Mount Pelion, under Chiron's tutelage, Achilles and Patroclus embark on a journey of mutual discovery. This period represents the beginning of their metaphorical journey, where their common goal is simply to exist together, free from societal constraints. Patroclus recalls their joy, saying, "We were like gods at the dawning of the world, and our joy was so bright we could see nothing else but the other." As Achilles chooses his path of destiny, seeking eternal glory at Troy, Patroclus remains tied to the human world, valuing compassionate connection over ambition. This divergence highlights a key theme in the philosophy of psychology, the opacity of the other. Despite their love, they cannot fully comprehend each other's motivations or reconcile their differences, enriching the narrative's complexity. Patroclus' decision to wear Achilles' armor and enter the battlefield becomes the culmination of their journey. This act, born of love and desperation, bridges their paths one last time, even as it leads to his death and Achilles' grief-stricken downfall. Achilles later reflects on these moments, thinking, "The sorrow was so large, it threatened to tear through my skin. When he died, all things swift and beautiful and bright would be buried with him." Patroclus, as a ghost, reflects, "Achilles weeps, he cradles me and will not eat, nor speak a word other than my name." The metaphor of a journey underscores their relationship, with Achilles and Patroclus as travelers moving towards different yet intertwined destinations. Their common goal of remaining together is constantly disrupted by external constraints, societal expectations, divine interference, and fate. Patroclus' decision to don Achilles' armor marks the climax of their shared journey, a moment where love transcends individuality but leads their mutual downfall. Embodiment and perception, the role of the body in love and war. The novel vividly explores how the body serves as a medium for perception, expression, and connection, echoing the philosophy of psychology's assertion that the body is not an object among objects, but the condition for all objects to appear. Achilles' physicality, his speed, strength, and beauty defines him as Aristos Achaean, the best of the Greeks. His body becomes a symbol of his identity and fate, illustrating the concept that the body is both the perceiver and the perceived. Patroclus recalls, Achilles' eyes were bright in the firelight, his face drawn sharply by the flickering shadows. I would know it in the dark or disguise, I told myself. I would even know it in madness. Achilles' choices often reflect a tension between personal agency and the inevitability of fate. His refusal to fight after Agamemnon's insult is an act of resistance against power structures, yet it also enforces his role as a cog in the mechanism of Greek honor. As the philosophy of psychology posits, agency emerges not from resistance alone, but from reframing oppressive systems. Achilles attempts to redefine heroism, but his pursuit of honor ultimately reinforces the same destructive values. Patroclus' embodiment centers on healing and empathy. His actions in the medical tents, tending to the wounded and comforting the enslaved, demonstrate that perception is not a passive process, but an active engagement with the world. Patroclus' role as a healer and his decision to wear Achilles' armor reflect an attempt to navigate constraints through creative engagement. His actions align with the quote, "To resist is to reimagine the very structures that seek to constrain us." Patroclus reclaims his agency by embodying Achilles' image, using deception to preserve the Greek army and Achilles' legacy, though it costs him his life. The novel's recurring imagery of touch, whether tender or violent, reflects the dual nature of the body as a site of intimacy and conflict. The boundary of skin becomes a locus of their relationship, where they are exposed to each other's vulnerability and the world's demands. Achilles and Patroclus' extensions of each other started their relationship, which illustrates the intertwining of self and other, as Patroclus' identity becomes inseparable from his role as Achilles' companion and moral compass. Achilles' grief after Patroclus' death underscores the opacity of the other. Despite their deep connection, Achilles realizes too late the full extent of Patroclus' sacrifices and desires. As the novel highlights, to love is to touch, not to merge, but to connect while remaining distinct. The act of touch is central to their intimacy, symbolizing moments of both physical and emotional closeness. Yet, Achilles' pursuit of glory often creates a chasm between them, reflecting the tension between connection and individuality. Metaphors and meaning, bridging the abstract and concrete. The philosophy of metaphors as bridges between sensory-motor experiences and abstract concepts offers a lens to understand the novel's thematic depth. Following the idea that affection is warmth, Achilles and Patroclus' love is described in terms of warmth and light. Their connection is a metaphorical seam that separates and connects, aligning with the idea that the body's boundary, the skin, is both a barrier and an opening. Their love culminates in Patroclus' enduring assertion, "I am made of memories." Achilles' pursuit of glory can be understood through the metaphor of more is up, where increased quantity or importance is linked to verticality. His elevation to Aristos Achaean reflects this metaphor, as his identity is tied to ascending the ranks of Greek warriors. The boundary between life and death becomes a metaphorical seam in the narrative as well. Patroclus' ghostly presence after his death underscores the tension between embodiment and transcendence, illustrating that to live is to be exposed, to feel the friction and texture of the world. Becoming, transformation through love and struggle. The concept of becoming, transformation shaped by experiences, drives the arcs of Achilles and Patroclus. Patroclus' becoming starts through his love for Achilles. He evolves from a disgraced exile into a healer, protector, and symbol of selflessness. His final act of wearing Achilles' armor epitomizes his transformation, merging his identity with Achilles' and asserting his agency. Achilles' journey of becoming is marked by the tension between his humanity and divinity. His transformation into a figure of vengeance following Patroclus' death highlights the cost of glory. However, his act of returning Hector's body to Priam suggests a fleeting return to the ideals of mercy and compassion. Estrangement, embodiment, and modernist echoes. Achilles and Patroclus' experiences echo themes of estrangement and embodiment explored in psychological and modernist contexts. Estrangement as a condition of consciousness is experienced through Achilles when he is estranged from his mortal body, as his divine parentage and extraordinary abilities distance him from the human world. This parallels the observation that to know my own self is to multiply or fractionate myself. Achilles' identity is fractured between his human vulnerabilities and his godlike aspirations. Patroclus' grief and guilt are embodied in his actions of healing others and his eventual willingness to sacrifice himself. This aligns with the concept of the body as a battlefield where self-mutilation provides concrete expression for the pain they feel inside. While Patroclus does not physically harm himself, his decision to wear Achilles' armor is a form of symbolic self-sacrifice, externalizing his internal torment. The novel's exploration of fragmented identity reflects modernist sensibilities, as Achilles and Patroclus grapple with the dissonance between their desires and societal expectations. Achilles' hyperflexivity, his intense focus on his own honor and legacy, leads to alienation, while Patroclus' introspection fosters empathy but isolates him from Achilles' world of heroism. Downfall and redemption. The tragic interplay of love and pride. The novel's tragedy lies in the intertwined downfalls of Achilles and Patroclus, rooted in their love and the societal forces that shape them. Patroclus' compassion and willingness to sacrifice himself for Achilles led to his death. His actions, though selfless, highlight the fragility of human life and the cost of love. Patroclus' spirit lingers until Thetis, moved by his memories of Achilles, ensures that their names are inscribed together. This act symbolizes the merging of self and the other in death, where their ashes represent the unity they sought in life. Their shared grave becomes a metaphorical enclosure, preserving their love and legacy beyond mortal constraints. Achilles' pride and pursuit of glory result in his isolation and ultimate demise. Yet, his final moments, his love for Patroclus immortalized through their shared tomb, redeem him, underscoring the novel's theme that to love is to touch. Achilles' refusal to bury Hector's body initially reflects his descent into vengeance and estrangement from his own humanity. Achilles' eventual act of returning Hector's body to Priam signals a fleeting return to compassion. This moment aligns with the idea that to resist is to reimagine, as Achilles resists the god's narrative of eternal enmity. Reflecting on his grief, he notes, "When he died, all things swift and beautiful and bright will be buried with him." In conclusion, through the lens of the philosophy of psychology, the Song of Achilles emerges as a profound exploration of human existence. The novel's metaphors, embodiment, and psychological depth reveal that the complexities of love, identity, and transformation are all linked. Achilles and Patroclus' story becomes a testament to the power of relationships to shape and transcend the self, offering a timeless mediation on the beauty and tragedy of human connection. I want to thank everybody for listening to this presentation. I really appreciate you all. It took a lot of time to put this together, but I'm very happy the way that it came out. Thanks again for a great semester, Professor, and I'll see you all soon.